For the last 100 years, on Anzac Day, the Bendigo community has stood side by side, aligning the streets, acknowledging our servicemen and women. There would normally be proud veterans marching down Pall Mall, waving to family and friends. We would all stand and listen to the sounds of hymns and prayers and the singing of the choir, having the opportunity to remember the fallen as one. But for 2020, this is not to be. Instead, the Bendigo community stood at the end of the driveways or other parts of their home to personally honour our servicemen and women through standing silent for 1 minute, holding a candle to light up the dawn, some playing the Australian National Anthem and or The Last Post. It was all about personal reflection this year. This morning, I held a silent service in Bendigo by laying a wreath on behalf of all veterans and the community. It provided me an opportunity to reflect on the current environment and what can be done by the community in difficult times. Great work has and will continue to be done by so many people from within this community, including the RSL. Throughout Australia right now, an army of RSL volunteers and staff work tirelessly to look after our elderly and vulnerable veterans by providing meals and essential items, as well as regular phone contact. That is the core business of every RSL and will remain so for another 100 years. This year, the Bendigo District RSL sub-branch adapted to the current restrictions of commemorating Anzac Day by connecting the local community to veterans through an initiative of writing a letter, and I want to share with you one of those letters which highlights the Anzac spirit within this community. Dear veteran, I'm writing to you on this Anzac Day in 2020 to let you know that we, the community, are still thinking of you on this special day and during these uncertain times we are facing. I would like to take a moment to thank you for your service to the Australian Defence Force. I admire the courage, determination, strength and spirit given through your service and your life. Anzac Day means many different things to us all. For some, it is a time of sadness, others a time of reflection, and some a time to honour our mates, family, friends and strangers for their sacrifices. A time to remember those who fought in the First World War as Australian or New Zealander troops. A time to pay respect to those who are no longer with us, our veterans and those still serving. Anzac Day brings forward many emotions in us. It unites us as a country, only separated by distance. I would like you to know that whatever Anzac Day means to you, I respect it and I believe it. This year, there won't be ceremonies that the public can attend to share their respects to the troops past and present. Instead, we are able to stand in our driveways at 6 a.m. and hold a minute's silence. The RSL are calling it Stand 2. And I want you to know you will never be forgotten. I will be thinking of you at this time. It is a great privilege to have the chance to write to you this letter. I hope you find some comfort in my words, and wherever you are and whatever you are doing on this day, please know someone is thinking of you and is very thankful for your service. Please take care. Sincerely, Sabrina Brooke. This morning, we acknowledge and thank those who served and all those who were sent off to 2 world wars, as well as Korea, Malaya, Vietnam, and more recently Cambodia, Somalia, Rwanda, the Persian Gulf, Solomon Islands, Timor-Leste, Iraq and Afghanistan. We also acknowledge our veterans who are suffering from physical and mental health issues as a result of their service. and all the families and friends supporting them day in, day out. We pay tribute to the doctors and nurses looking after our elderly veterans in homes and retirement villages throughout Australia, supporting our veterans through this pandemic. 2020 marks the 75th anniversary of the end of World War II, 1939 to 1945. As part of the British Empire, Australia was amongst one of the first nations to declare war on Nazi Germany, and between 1939 and 1945, nearly 1 million Australian men and women served. They fought in campaigns across Europe, the Mediterranean and North Africa. One such hero is 819905, Warrant Officer Henry Vincent Shirley, or as his mates and family call him, Bob. Bob lived in the Victorian Mallee and at the age of 20 enlisted into the Royal Australian Air Force in Melbourne as an aircrew stores hand. Over the next few months, Bob was sent to various locations like Shepparton, Bairnsdale and Somers to learn his job. But eventually, Bob found his way to Marsbank and Winnipeg, Canada, for further training. He finally arrived in the United Kingdom in December 1943 and was sent to various camps including Moreton and Marsh. Bob transferred to A Flight 51 Squadron 4 Bomber Group Command located in Snaith as an air bomb aimer in August 1944 on promotion to Flight Sergeant. Over the next few months, Bob flew 5 operations as part of Flying Officer Jack Preston's crew. But on the 11th September 1944, Bob's plane was shot down during a raid over Germany and was captured and interned as prisoner of war, number 81647. Only 3 crew members out of 7 survived. Bob remained a POW until the end of the war, when he was formally released from that POW camp by the Russians, although he had escaped from the camp prior to that. Bob eventually arrived back into the UK for repatriation, where he was promoted to Warrant Officer. He finally found his way back to Australia in September 1945 and was discharged from the Royal Australian Air Force on the 10th of January 1946, where he returned to the Mallee to live, marry and raise his children on the family farm. Bob passed away peacefully on the 14th of June 2019, aged 97, still vividly remembering the war long past. His story is only but one of many of thousands of Australians who served in Bomber Command, Fighter Command, Coastal Command, Transport Command and Training Command. Bomber Command casualties were one of the highest during the war, accounting for nearly 20% of all Australian combat deaths. Of the 10,000 Australians who served in Bomber Command, more than 1 in 3 were killed. Today, we remember Bob and his mates and all those who at the time of need arose above all to lay down their lives for Australia during World War II, to protect the freedoms we so dearly enjoy today. Finally, I would like to personally acknowledge the dedication and devotion to duty of our first responders, particularly our pandemic frontline personnel, including police, ambulance, doctors, nurses, medical staff and support staff who are currently fighting this pandemic. They certainly deserve our appreciation. Lest we forget.